Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about fighters that might be cut or retire after UFC in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil, this weekend, November 4th. Almeida versus Lewis. And again, there's a couple fighters on here that could either potentially retire or be cut after this. And first one has to be Nicholas Dalby. I know on paper, you look at his record, 22-4-1. It's pretty dang good. I'll give you that. But he's 38 years old, and he'll be 39 in November. This very well could be his last fight. And for a guy that has 10 finishes, has never been finished, you wouldn't think necessarily that, okay, this might be it. Now, my reasoning is he's 6'3", 1-1 in the UFC. Again, my reasoning for him potentially retiring is, you look at his no contest against Jesse Ronson, gets hurt, gets rear naked choked, turned into a no contest afterwards because Ronson tested positive, but he didn't look good in there. He got cracked real bad in that one and then was finished. Lost to Tim Means, looked good in the third round, but still lost the first two rounds. And just he's constantly changing his style. And in the thing that made him fun to watch earlier on in his career, how he got to the UFC, was two big finishes back in 2013, 2014. Another one, a big one against Masin Bahari, and then he beat Zaleski by split decision. Went to a draw with Darren Till, lost to Cummings, Sabata, Pedersoli by split decision, and then won two fights in a row by finish, and then came back and beat Alex Oliveira. He'll be 39. He's not a big finisher, even though it says 10 finishes. He's had a lot of decisions. And again, it's something that really needs to be talked about. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 wins, and they're all decision. He has not a single finish in the UFC. And he just really hasn't looked good in the UFC. Like I said, he's 6'3", 1-1. Technically should be 6-4 with one finish coming from Jesse Ronson, which we all seen it. It still happened. Whether it counts on his record or not, we know it happened. 39 years old, just don't think there's much left for Nicholas Dalby. And then another one, this one is a retirement for me, is Vince Pichel. Unless Vince Pichel looks great in this matchup at almost 41 years old, which again is November 23rd for his birthday, he'll be 41. With him turning 41, with him turning 41, and again in November, 14-3, he has 2 finishes out of his 3 losses. He is 7-3 in the UFC. Like, he can fight still pretty well. But when he fights that little bit of an upper echelon, like Gregor Gillespie, which back in that day he was 11-1 and really good, 11-0, but still he can beat guys like Roosevelt Roberts, Austin Hubbard, Jim Miller, Anthony Njokuani, Garrett Whiteley, Joaquin Silva with that crazy style of his, defeating Damon Brown. Actually finished him, who had a pretty good chin at the time, known for that durability, was able to finish him. But he's a fun fighter. I just think at 41 years old, if he loses this one, yeah, maybe he could get away with fighting grapplers and guys that are going to pull, they're going to use takedowns and, things like that. But Mark Madsen was really his one to be like, okay, I still can make it one last run. I still can go for this. And he kind of shit the bed in that one, especially because he taunted him at the end of the second round. Like, Madsen was getting tired, which he was. But in the end, Vince Pichel could not keep Madsen off of him. And again, at 41 years old, I just don't think there's much more you can do. I just don't think there's much more to prove. Fun fighter. I believe he will retire after this one. And another one is Angela Hill. 15-13 overall in her career. Yes, I know she has only been submitted 2 times, never been finished by punches, has 5 TKO or KO wins, but majority of her wins are by decision. Got beat up pretty bad against Lupita Godinez early, actually came back and looked good in that matchup. I still pretty sure, no, it was the Amanda Ribas one that she had lost, a split. I thought she came back and actually won that fight. But just grapplers give her a hard time. I do think this fight could be a little bit better matchup-wise for her. I actually think she gets finished in this one, to be honest. But again, fighting these young and hungry, if it was anything else, any division that was competitive or was a more stacked division, 15-13, and her record in the UFC at 10-13 just wouldn't be cutting it. I'm sorry. I like Angela Hill, but she came in the UFC at 5-0. Again, she's 10-13. She needs to be impressive in this one. She got beat up by the jiu-jitsu, the grappler in the last one, on the feet. Mackenzie Dern beat her up. Rocked her with a lot of things. Could be the end for Angela Hill. And last but not least is Mark DeCasey. I'm a big fan of Mark DeCasey. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, even though I don't agree with his last loss, to be honest. It was a clear headbutt, and they didn't call it. Whether you thought he was winning or not, it was still a blatant headbutt. The clash of heads, I mean. You know, and this is the guy that came in the UFC at 12-0. Lost the split to close, so, you know, it's one of those things that could have went to his way, but Dan Hooker fight wasn't great. Nasser Haparest wasn't great. Has been a little bit back on track. He's 4-4 in his last 8. Lost to Rafael Fasiv in a pretty fun fight, to be honest. Was submitted by Rafael Alves. Just looked super hesitant, looked like he didn't trust his skills against a guy that is fun, is fast, but Mark DeCasey was and used to be a good striker in the UFC. Just kind of got rid of that a little bit. I understand, making yourself a more well-rounded fighter. I get that, but we really don't see him striking anymore, and I think it's detriment to his career. Again, I'm not saying only strike or only grapple, but you got to mix it up a little bit. I mean, that's how Alves submitted him, was because he was blatant just going for takedowns. Caught him in the guillotine, and that was all she wrote. So again, fighters, Mark DeCasey, Angela Hill, who's the other one? Vince Pichel could retire, Nicholas Dalby. So those are 4 fighters that I think probably could be on their way out. And as always, guys, subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if you agree. If you disagree, let's talk about it. As always, you guys know what it is.